Hey everybody, welcome to Home Recording Made Easy and Plugin Review Friday, where every Friday I show you a new plugin, we walk through its feature set, and I show you how to apply it to a mix so you can make professional sounding mixes in your home studio. Okay, before we get started, if you like what you see in this video, please consider subscribing and make sure you hit that notification bell, and also make sure you stick around till the end of the video because I have a few free gifts I want to give you that is absolutely going to help you make better music in your home studio. So stick around. Hey everybody, welcome to Plugin Review Friday. This week we're going to take a look at a very cool utility tool sort of plugin. This is the Plugin Alliance Metric AB. This is used to as a reference track plugin. So what are reference tracks? Well, reference tracks are used when you're mixing as a way to give you a guide, a roadmap to try to make sure that your mix is competitive sounding both in volume and tonality and such with a commercial release. I always talk about using reference tracks on this channel. It's a very important thing, especially if you're a beginner to mixing. Using reference tracks will really help you so you're not kind of mixing in the dark, mixing in, blindly. We have a roadmap to follow. For the longest time, I was using a plugin called Sample. It was by a company called Sample Magic AB. You can probably still find that video somewhere here on the YouTube channel if you search it out. And I was using that for years and it is no longer available. One of my students that was looking for that plugin told me it's no longer available anymore. Have you tried this plugin by Plugin Alliance? And I have not up to that point. And when I checked it out, I instantly fell in love with this tool. This is a far more extensive set of tools, much more than my old reference track plugin. And I think this thing is just great. And I would highly recommend that at the very least you go out and demo this. And I don't think there's even a plugin that even comes close to this. This has so many comprehensive tools in it. We're not going to go over all of them because I don't even use all of them. It can actually be a little intimidating. There's so many things in this plugin, but I want to show you how I use it and why I think it's something that's special that no other plugin that I've seen has yet. So let's check this out. So this is a plugin that you put at the very last plugin at on your master bus. And it gives you the ability to reference your mix against a commercial release track. So over here on the left-hand side, we have our two meters here. We have our blue meter, which is the DAW, your mix, and then the orange meter, which is the reference track. And we have this big AB button here. And when you click it, it goes from orange, the reference track, back to the DAW. Okay, so that's on the left-hand side here. Above the meters here, you have a little gear here, little settings where you could go in and check out all the different settings. And we're not going to look at all of them today. This video would be 2 hours, but you can read the manual on this. It lays everything out in detail, but there's ways to customize the plugin. I just leave everything at its default setting. You can actually save and open presets as you customize this to the way you want to use it. You can save it as a preset, which is pretty cool. You do that in this section here. And then if you want to collapse the plugin so it doesn't take up so much real estate on your screen, you can click this if you just want to go back and forth here and you don't need all the other stuff in the way, but I like to use it open. Okay, so that's what we do. So along the top here, we have 6 different sets of tools, if you will, on how we can look at our audio versus our reference track here. So the first one is Playback. And if I click on Playback, you'll see it turns orange. Here is the reference track that I loaded in and for this song. And if we go down to the bottom here, you'll see this name of the song is Gypsy of Love. It's just a mix that I've done a while back. And if you can add up to 16 different reference tracks in here. Every one of these slots you can add a reference track. The way you do that is you can either just click on this little menu here. You can load a file, you can show in the finder, you can remove the track, you could clear track settings, and you can organize tracks here. So you just click load audio file and you can choose the file on your computer to load it in here. You can also do a drag and drop type of a feature as well. Okay, so here is our song here. So when you click on Playback, it shows you the left right here, and if you use your scroll wheel on your mouse or on your trackball, you'll see it'll zoom in and out here. Okay, so here it is, and if I were to just play this back, and there's our track. Okay, now if I click over to the blue button, this will be the DAW. It's a different song completely. This is just for demonstration. Okay, so you can see how that kind of works going back A-B. Over here above the A-B button, we can also listen to this in mono. If you wanted to check it in mono, you can listen just to the left, just to the right, or you can solo things up and listen to just the sides, which is pretty cool as well. Okay, so when you're looking at the playback section here, underneath here, you'll see a couple of things. The first one is volume. Now, a lot of times what happens is when you're first starting to work on a mix and as you're building up your mixing your DAW is going to be usually a lot quieter in volume than a reference track that you bring in that's a commercial release, right? That's a common problem, and you want to listen to them at about the same volume levels. So what you can do here is you can see here, this is a commercially released song here, or a finished mix, Gypsy of Love. And what you do is I went in and clicked this match button, and it will actually match the volume levels of what's in your DAW more closely, so you have a good A-B comparison. If I were to, this will be super, super loud, so I don't want to do it and blow your ears out, but if I just hit the match button, you'll see what will happen is,
It's been such a long time, gypsy woman running through my mind.
okay, so it lowered it 13.6 dB to the, so if I go back and forth between that and the DAW, okay, this was probably 10 dB louder. This song was 13 dB louder. Now, if I turned up the reference track 13 dB, it would blow us out here in the video. I don't want to do that, but that's a very cool feature. Or you can also use the little sliders here. If you wanted to use the little sliders here, see this? You can use the little sliders here next to the meter. As you saw, this was at 0 dB and it lowered at 13 dB, but you can also just do it manually as well if you wanted to do that. Okay, so that's the volume here. Next to that, we have a way we can rewind all the way to the beginning of the song if we want to. And this is our playback mode area here. Next to that, we have different ways that this thing can behave when we play back the reference track. We have what's called latch mode, cue mode, sync mode, and manual mode. I'm just going to stick in latch mode for now. Again, you can read all the different modes. I don't want to go through all of them. But if in latch mode, it's pretty much wherever I put the cursor by clicking, it's going to move to. One other mode in this area that would be very, very helpful if you were mixing the same song as the reference track, if it was like a different revision of your mix, or if you were doing a remix of a commercially released song and you wanted to compare it to somebody else's mix, the exact same song, you could put it in sync mode. And what that will do is wherever your playhead is here in your DAW, you can see that it moves along. So if it was the exact same song, it will also play back in the exact same spot. So if you wanted to listen to, say, just the first chorus in your DAW, compare it to the reference track first chorus, it will move in sync, which is really cool. That's a really cool feature. Okay. Also in playback mode, you have these different points here where you can create a loop or different markers, if you will. So for example, if I put my cursor here and I click number 1, you'll see it comes up all the way over here. I can bring it over here. And if I want number 2, I can move number 2 over here, let's say for verse, chorus, however you want to do it. And let's say I want to play back from spot 1, I click here.
It's been such a long time. It's been such a long.
So you could just click on the button and it will move to the different parts of the song if you wanted to do that, as opposed to maybe sync mode. Okay, that's another really cool thing. You can also make a loop out of this. If I want to clear this, I could just right-click, delete the cue, right-click, delete the cue. If I wanted to make a loop here, first I got to put a point here, and I can make a loop. Where's number 2? Here it is. And now it'll loop between 1 and 2. So.
Gypsy woman running through my mind. It's been such a long time.
Oh, where is number 1 here? Did I mess that up? Let me just see. Here's 1. Where is number 2? Oh, I see what happened. I got to drag it up here. Sorry. Okay, so I could just drag another point here, 1 and 2, and you can actually make a loop between these two. Well, I should probably drag that a little bit further apart so we can see it better. Okay, so if you just want to focus in on a very certain section, you could put 2 markers here and you can loop them. Okay, pretty cool. And I can just unclick the loop and that goes away and I can delete the cue. Okay, so those are very, very cool features on how you can do that. I believe, yeah, I think you can just do it like that. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so that's over here. Now, another thing, I use those 2 features all the time, guys. I'm going to show you the stuff that I just commonly use as opposed to going through every single tool that's here. The other thing that I use an awful lot, if we move over here to the right-hand side where it says low, mid, high, reset, bass, and sub, this gives us the ability to really solo up certain set of frequencies and compare our mix to the commercial mix. Okay, so for example, let me show you what that means. So let's say I'm playing back the sub level. Well, we'll stick with the low mid level on my mix. Okay. Now if I go to the reference track, okay, you can hear the low mids. If I want to go to the bass, there's the bass of the reference track compared to mine. So you can hear the mids very, very helpful how you can highlight certain frequencies, and you can move it too. You can see when I click like on sub level, it goes from 10 hertz to 60 hertz. You could change that. You can make it whatever range that you'd like. These are just the defaults and it seems to work for me. And that's a great way for you to be able to solo up your sub level to the commercial track sub level, you know, the real low end or the real top end. And then you just hit reset and it goes back to full range, 10 hertz to 22. Okay, that's another feature that I use all the time. Okay, so those are the different tools that I use down here in the playback mode section. Now we're looking at the playback set of tools here where we're just looking at the waveforms. The other thing that I use a lot is the spectrum. Well, let me go back. Yeah, the spectrum. Okay, now the spectrum changes down here, the tools. The playback mode, right, is when we're in playback, when we go to spectrum, we get a different set of tools here. Now, what doesn't change is over on the far right side where you can compare the different frequency ranges again, which we'll talk about in a second once again. Now, when we play back, so your mix is on the top, the commercial mix is on the bottom, and you can look at the EQ curve. Now, if you look at the display down here, it's set up as dual, where you're on the top, the reference mix is on the bottom. But you can go to single or layered. Or you can look at it layered, single, dual, or layered. I kind of like layered as a nice way to be able to look at it. And you can kind of compare the curves. Again, really helpful to say, hey, is my low end really, really much more or less than the commercial releases, the mid-range, so on and so forth. Okay, that's a very, very handy thing. So you're on the spectrum tool in either layered or dual mode is what I tend to use more than anything else. And then you can take a look at that. Now you can also adjust the peak and the hold. You have all these different things here. You can check the way. Right now it's in plot mode. You can look at it in octave mode, third octave, critical, or multi. I tend to look at it in plot mode, but you can look at it in any different visual that you'd like here. Really, really cool as well. You can also zoom in and zoom out on it so you can see it. But I mean, it's just such a variety of tools. But once again, you can also then look at your different, you can listen to your different bands. So if I play this back, I want to see the sub level, it highlights it here. And again, we can move this. We just want to listen to 20 hertz and below. Or 80 hertz, put it wherever we want to put it. Usually I think it's right around 50, and then go back and forth. Right, same thing with the high end. And I'll say it again, I use this feature that I'm showing you right now to solo out and audition the different frequencies throughout the song, throughout the frequency range all the time. Dozens and dozens of times throughout the course of the mix, I'm constantly checking my mid-range to their mid-range, my low end to their low end. This in and of itself is worth the price of the plugin, in my opinion. And we'll just hit reset. Okay. So that is our spectrum. We also have correlation where you can look at that.
that I left me
Phase correlation. Okay.
out alright. Feel away from you, and I'll be fine. And nothing more to do.
Okay, between the two again, the song, our mix here in the DAW is a completely unmixed song. So keep that in mind to a commercially released track. Okay, stereo image. This is another one that I use all the time to check the width of my mix. Like, you can hear it, but I want to see the left-right energy of my mix compared to the commercial track.
In order, so I will always have.
So you can see the visual here.
Change, it's changing all around.
You can see the commercial mix is much wider. It's a finished mix. This is much more narrow. So this is a very good tool as well to see your stereo image. You can also look at the dynamics in real time. Okay, so this has our mix, our DAW has a much more dynamics right now because there's no compression, there's no EQ, there's no nothing on it. Where the finished mix has a lot of compression on it, even though it's not completely squished. You can see it's a lot less dynamic range because we haven't done anything to the one in the DAW yet. Make sense? And then lastly, you have your loudness, which again you can compare. All the different, the integrated, the short-term volume, the momentary volume, the loud range of it. You can compare your mix to a commercial mix as well to make sure that you're competing. Okay, and again, underneath you have a whole bunch of different set of tools. Again, for every time you change the tool up at the top, you have a different set of tools down here as well. So again, stereo image. Again, you can look plot, octave. Okay, so it's a very, very, very cool. Very excellent. This is an excellent plugin. Again, I haven't seen anything that even comes close to this. And again, I use this all the time. I would highly, encourage you to at least go demo this and check it out. I don't know the price of it, to be totally honest with you at this point. This plugin was given to me by Plugin Alliance for at no charge to try it out and to do a review of it for you. But my license, it's not an indefinite license. It actually runs out after I think about a year, and I'm going to purchase this once my freebie goes away because I think it's that good. So it's a sponsored video in that I got the plugin for free to try out, and once my period ends, I'm going to have to purchase it, which is totally fine. I totally support this, but in no way is there any kind of stipulation that I have to say anything about the plugin. They just tell me to use it, and if I like it, I could do a review on it, and I'm bringing it to you because I really do like this particular tool. So I would highly recommend you go check it out, read the manual. That's only about 25% of the things that this thing can do. If you really want to geek out and really get under the hood and really get into all the tools and how you can utilize this, you may want to check it out. This would be great also for mastering engineers as well. But whatever tool you decide to use, again, I highly encourage mixing engineers, especially people that are new to mixing. But even if you're a seasoned professional, like myself, I use reference tracks every single time I do a mix, and I would highly encourage you to try it as well. And there are many ways that you can do it without buying a plugin. You could just take reference tracks and drag it into your edit screen and solo them up, and you can do that. I did that for years, but when you have a tool like this, it's more than just listening to the differences, but to be able to see in detail what's going on, whether it's the stereo image or the EQ curve, or the phase or whatever it is, and have the ability to be able to loop different sections and to really fine tune what you're doing to try to get as close to your reference as possible or as you want. I really think something like this is a very helpful thing, and it's one of those utility plugins. It's that it's just essential if you want to get more consistent with your mixing. Mixing against reference tracks is the way to do it, and this is a great tool. So. Again, go out the Plugin Alliance website. I'll leave the link in the description box below. check out this metric AB and let me know what you think of it. So I want to thank you so much for watching this video. And as I always say, I want to give you a free gift for just checking out this video. If you have not done so already, go out to homerecordingmadeeasy.com. I want to give you my 5 free pro sounding tips to get a professional sounding mix. Try saying that 7 times fast. Go out, download it today. Home Recording Made Easy. It's my free gift to you. Also, if you want to learn the craft of mixing in a very non-technical way where we dive down deep, much more so than on YouTube, into these plugins, and we learn mixing from the ground up so you can turn out professional sounding mixes in your studio, check out what I have going on at mixingmadeeasy.net. Again, link will be in the description box. And last but certainly not least, I want to give you a coupon code for homerecordingmadeeasy.com. That coupon code is YouTube25. That will take 25% off any training course on my website if you want to utilize that as well. Again, that will be in the description box. And last, I want to hear from you. Let me know if you use reference tracks when you mix. What utility plugin tools like Metric AB do you use? If you don't use this one, what do you use? If you don't have a plugin, how do you use reference tracks? If you don't use reference tracks or you don't feel like you need to, I'd like to know why. Let's start a conversation. Leave some comments below. And until next week's Plugin Review Friday, I've been Dave with HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com and MixingMadeEasy.net. I will see you next Friday. Take care, everybody.